Hi, this is Amber Matusek with Art2Ride. I am here today with Miracle. He is a 8-year-old quarter horse cross gelding that we've had now for a couple of years. He came to us quite thin and very broken over with some bad training. So it took us quite a while before we could even get on and ride. I think there was maybe 6 months of lunging prior to even having a saddle for him. And then the riding was, very slow in the beginning and just maybe a couple times a week. So now it's been a couple years and I'm starting him out here on the lunge line. Partly he's a little stiff. It helps him loosen up. Sometimes I can get on and just ride, but usually it benefits him to have a little lunging first. So right now I would say he's, I'm trying to just send him forward here, get some energy coming through from behind to create that stretch. So in the beginning, he wanted to hollow and put his head up. He was a little distracted, and that's partly with him just getting his attention, getting his focus here in the beginning, and helping him loosen up. He can be pretty stiff, so the lunging is helpful just to let him loosen up a little on his own without the weight of a rider. Now he's starting to come around here. He's giving me a little bit of a stretch, and I like his activity level. As you can see, even on the lunge line, without any side reins or backwards tension, he can still curl behind the vertical sometimes. And that's been a real struggle with him as he's pretty broken over in the neck. You might even be able to see as he comes around the corner and the sun hits his neck just right, the break in his neck. You can see there's sort of a corner looking area right there in his neck. You can see it just when he comes around the side there. So that's part of the reason why I'm just lunging him without any side reins or anything here. And I'm doing a little canter now to help improve his trot. The canter really gets the trot nicer for this horse. So now we're back into the trot and see if that helped. And you can see his nose wants to poke out a little bit more now, which was what I was hoping for. Now this activity is really good here for him. He's really starting to give me a little bounce. Very happy with his focus. He's also a horse that in the beginning when we started lunging him was very excitable on the lunge line and would just take off and go crazy and spend large portions of time just trying to run with his head straight up in the air. So he's come a long way with his focus. There, I'd asked for another canter transition, and he picked up the cross canter, so I just bring him back down to the trot and trying to reestablish some relaxation here at the trot, a stretch here at the trot. There we go. Before I ask for the canter again, which again he picks up the cross canter. So although he is tons stronger than he was when he came, and it's so much better, he still has a long ways to go in his strength, in his neck. All of that stuff still has a ways to go. So maybe if we had been starting with him from the beginning without him having any bad training before, it would not have taken nearly as long as it has. And not only did he have the bad training, but he was also abused before he came to us. He had been beaten. The woman who had bought him off somebody who was beating him bloody, and she wanted to save him, so she bought him off of them, and then, had tried to find some good training for him, but ended up, with some cowboy type people who had just put big bit on his mouth and a huge saddle on his back and broken him over. So now I'm changing directions. I was pretty happy with his warm-up that way. He got fairly focused and had nice activity, good stretch. Now I'm just walking him back out to change directions. I try to push him away from me. This was a horse that was also, after she bought him, had gotten, she felt bad for him and fed him quite a bit, so he was kind of pushy along with the beatings that he had taken. He was also quite pushy, which was probably part of the reason why he had gotten beaten so much. I think that he had a fair amount of fight in him. So now I'm just trying to get that energy, that fight energy that he has, directed into doing what we want him to do, which is stretch and relax and, work over his back. So I go right into the canter this way because it does improve his trot so much and loosen up his back to canter a little first. This is actually pretty nice canter for him. Starting to stretch a little bit in the canter, even on the lunge. And now I bring him to the trot. This looks pretty good. As he stretches, you can see his head and neck are coming out. He's not curling behind too much. He's got really nice activity level here, just trying to keep that even, keep the rhythm even all the way around the circle so that he doesn't slow or change the rhythm. Really get him into the zone here. This is really nice for him, really coming through again from behind. You can see his hind legs are actively swinging under his body more than they swing out behind, and he's able to come to track up into his front footprints, which in the beginning when we first got him at the trot, he was not able to do that. So I was really happy with that. I felt like he got to a really nice place there on the lunge line. And I'm going to now start with a little in-hand work with him. Now, I haven't done very much in-hand work with him. In fact, this is one of the first times he's done this. And the reason for that was because of how defensive he gets when you're close up with the whip. And I think from the beatings he had gotten and everything. So right now I'm leaving the lunge line attached, and I'm doing that on purpose. In case I get into some trouble, I would be able to just send him back out on the lunge line, or give myself a little space by sending him out and not just be attached to him from the reins. Now, I'm not going to ask for much, as this is one of his first times doing the in-hand work. And what I'm hoping to get here from him today is, hopefully he will walk next to me and relax and begin to stretch down. I'm not going to ask for much lateral movement for him, just because of his past and because this is really just starting out for him with the in-hand work. And what I want is for him to get comfortable with me next to him with the whip, tapping him with the whip, sending him forward without him getting reactive or defensive. So just start out here, trying to walk nicely next to him. I encourage him to kind of move up next to my shoulder. He's wanting to suck back a little bit. He's not quite ahead of the whip. And He also tends to be a little bit this way when you get on to ride, not totally in front of the leg in the beginning. So I am tapping him here occasionally, really trying to get that activity from behind, get him to step up, come forward. And this is decent for him. I'd still like to see him actively reach out and down more with his head and neck. I think he's not quite sure what I want from him, as I haven't done this before. I've tried a couple of times and he just got so defensive that he tried to jump on top of me, and we had to just go back out to the lunging. So this is good here. This is really nice here. As you can see, he's starting to relax, and he actually stepped down there. So I stop him there, as I was really happy with that. That was the first time he had done that, relaxed to that level. And I'm going to change directions. And again, just moving him out of my space, because he tends to be a horse that wants to kind of get into your space. I try really hard to always make sure he's moving out of my space and I'm not pulling him in on me. And now this direction, asking him for some activity from behind, hoping that he's going to really just actively walk and step forward. He's not sure what I want. So I'm tapping him here, and he's resisting, swishing his tail a little. Still, he's still unsure of what I want. I'm just waiting him out. There we go. Starting to get a little activity here. Starting to get a nice walk. He's stepping forward. Now I'm just trying to use a little positioning rein with the inside rein, see if I can get him to soften, step forward into that. You can see when I'm tapping him off and he swishes his tail at that, he's not sure, still not sure about the in hand. But as I do it, it's now time for him to learn this, and I think this will be very helpful for him in learning his lateral work, as it's very difficult to do the lateral work with him because of the break in his neck. So I was pretty happy with that at the end. I guess maybe with hindsight, I think I could have gone for a little bit more of a stretch in that direction, but that being the more difficult direction, I was happy that he just accepted me walking next to him and really came forward and swung out the walk. So I'm just getting a few sugars here. And when I feed him the sugar, I do try to just push his head away and then give it to him, so that he doesn't learn that when he comes into my space, he's getting rewarded for that, because he does, like I said, tend to be a little bit more of a pushy horse, and trying to encourage him to be respectful and give me my space. Now, he doesn't usually try to walk off when I get on, and if he did that multiple times, days in a row, I would definitely get off and remount and make him hold still. Not quite sure why he decided to do that today, but I just went ahead and ignored it and got on, even though he walked off a little bit while I was mounting. That's not a normal thing for him. He usually holds very still. So now, starting out here at the walk, I am asking for some activity, some swing from behind, trying to get a little bit of an overtrack with the walk. When he first came to us, as I said before, he was very stiff and thin, and he had a hard time even tracking up at the walk, much less overtracking. And now he's able to overtrack a little at the walk. He also came to us barefoot, and we started him that way, but as his strength started to increase, we did have to put shoes on him. He was definitely one of those horses that really you could see a big improvement when he got his shoes. Front shoes first and then hind shoes, and they all made a big difference with how comfortable he was and pushing off from behind. So whenever I see a horse is a little tentative, it makes me wonder, especially if they're barefoot, if there might be some benefit to putting some shoes on them. I think most horses cannot go barefoot and do regular work, especially with our footing, sandy footing. So that I'm doing my first leg yield there, and that was good for him. He could cross over a little more, and as he gets stronger and stronger, I think that will happen. He's one that you definitely have to let lead with the front shoulder. If you try to push him over and he's too parallel to the rail, I feel that he really just can't do it. He can't get his legs out of his own way. He sort of looked like a bunch of spare horse parts put together when he first came to us. His conformation is not the best, and he's had that also as a struggle, something to work through. Here I'm changing directions, trying to get a big open swingy walk and get him to come out and down a little more with his head and neck. So you can see he's still, slightly behind the vertical. He's curling back. I do try to follow him back, usually keeping the connection even if he's back behind the vertical, so that he doesn't learn that he can get away from the contact by curling. And there you saw me really come back with my body. So he really tried to turn and just walk to the rail there, and I was trying to lift up and get his butt to come underneath me more so that he could come through more in the leg yield, stay a little bit more parallel, and really step over and under. So I'm going to try that leg yield again, see if I can't get a better response from him. There is better, right there. So that was really good for him, actually. He got a little bit of crossing over, and there was nice activity in that. He's still wanting to curl a bit behind, and I am able to do these leg yields mostly in the stretch, which is great. But the shoulder in is not quite there yet. And if I try for the shoulder in, I feel that I really have to break him over in the neck, and I don't think that the benefit of the shoulder in, I don't think I'm getting a benefit from it, I guess. So I am just sticking to the leg yields right now with the riding, and I will continue to do the in-hand work and work on a little more shoulder in the in-hand when he gets comfortable with stretching out and down in the in-hand work. So right now, as I pick up the trot, again, you can see he's curled behind, hoping that I'm going to get him to stretch out and down, starting with some leg yields here. That was very nice for him. He didn't turn too much and just walk towards the rail. He responded to my leg. He yielded to my leg. So it's also horse in the very beginning when I would try to do the leg yields, I would put my leg on and he would literally like throw himself into the pressure. So just him yielding it all to the pressure is good. Change directions and try for a little leg yield this direction. As you can see, I let him lead a little with the shoulder. But I'm very happy with that. He yielded right away from that leg, and that's the leg that he tends to sometimes really push into and fight. That was very nice. He didn't fight it at all. He stayed soft and stretched. He didn't get unfocused. Asking again here. A little more leg yield. I do feel the more he gets off of my leg, responds, starts moving over and forward from my leg, I'm able to then get him out and down more. As you can see, the stretch is getting nicer now. He's starting to reach out and down more. He's getting a soft swing. You can see the relaxation. He's not tense. Nice activity here. He's really, if you look at the swing under his body versus out the back, it's quite nice. He's really kind of giving me a little, there's a bounce. And he's actively seeking. He's actively reaching down, trying to find that contact. There's really nice. Starting to come out and down. I think I could stretch up and back a little bit more with my shoulders right there at the end of the arena. I came forward a little. Here again, stretch up and back, and I did follow him there as he started to come up. I followed him with my hands and trying to get him to reach out and down. And now, nice canter transition, really nice canter transition for him. He got the correct lead both in the front and in the back, and he's starting to stretch a little here in the canter. I'm starting to do a little counter canter work with him, even just here in the stretch. I do feel that the counter canter helps improve his regular canter and encourages him to stretch in the canter. So that was very nice. Very happy with that counter canter for him. And as you can see, he's actively reaching out a little bit more. Still trying to get him off that inside leg. Stretch up and back with my shoulders. See if I can't really get that response off my inside leg. And now I'm going to switch directions. And I'm asking for a little lead change, which was quite good for him. He didn't overreact. He switched both the front and the back at the same time. It was very good. He's just started these, and when I first tried to start the lead changes with him, he was super confused. He really had no idea what I was looking for, and couldn't figure it out at all. It took quite a while, and I really feel like I have to get up and under him with my leg and lift him up so that he's able to change up through from behind. So I'm letting him come back to the trot and stretch. And the stretch is really nice here. Super happy with that. Really down and deep. Nice activity from behind. Really nice relaxation. I bring him up a little bit. It's quite difficult for him to come up. I'm bringing him up for the canter transition. Going to ask for a canter transition this way. And he did not get the canter transition. He's on the wrong lead behind. So I'm just going to bring him back to the trot and ask again. So again, and he didn't quite get it again there. So what's happening there is he really was blowing off that inside leg of mine. So I reinforced it there to get him over off that inside leg. and he did have a little kick out, but he also picked up the correct lead, which was what I was asking for. So I just going with the canter because that's really what I wanted, and he did it. And now I'm going to do a little counter canter in this direction, keeping him on that outside bend. Really nice there. And you can see him wanting to curl back there at the canter, and I'm hoping that as he strengthens, he'll be able to come out and down more. This is much nicer right here. A little curling back, but it's getting better. It's getting better. And I'm going to try my lead change this way. So I had to give him a little spur right there, and I got a little kick out, but I also got a clean change, which I was very happy with. That's the direction that's very difficult for him to change, lead change. So I let him come back to the trot and stretch to reward him for changing. Even though he kicked out, he still did exactly what I wanted him to do with the change. And the trot here is quite nice. There's a lot of energy. Sometimes it gets a little bit too much, and I do ask him for small amounts of lengthenings, trying to get him to really open up and lengthen rather than just quicken, because when this horse gets quick, he really gets unorganized. You can see him struggling, and he starts to look a little off even because he's not organized. Right here is very nice though. The trot's very nice. Lots of lift, lots of push off. Really deep in the stretch, really starting to poke out with his head and neck. This is very nice for him. Really relaxed. You can see the rhythm. The rhythm is slower a little bit, but deeper. He's really pushing deeply. There's a nice swing in his hip. There, he started to come up, so I'm just following him up with my hands and then letting him back out into the stretch, trying to get him all the way back down into that lovely deep stretch where he's poking his nose out and in the zone. There's really nice right there, really nice across the diagonal. And that's really nice here. You can see he's totally relaxed. He's letting go of all of this tension, sticking his nose out and down, nice swing through his tail and his hind legs, he's getting more and more even. He looks nice and even here. Not like when he's going too fast. I was super happy with that workout with him. He had new things to do.